Have you ever felt like your partner views intimacy as some kind of personal right, owed to them no matter how you might be feeling? Maybe you found yourself lying awake at night, heart pounding, wondering if you're the bad guy for not always being in the mood. Or perhaps you say yes when you really want to say no, just to avoid the inevitable guilt trip. If any of this strikes a chord, you're not alone, and you might be dealing with something called sexual narcissism. Let me introduce you to Katie, a dedicated teacher in her early 30s who always dreamed of having a loving, balanced partnership. She met a charming man, outgoing, funny, and confident about his skills in bed. In the beginning, it felt like a whirlwind romance. He made her feel special, showered her with compliments, and even joked about how lucky she was to have him. Little did she know, behind that charm lurked a sense of sexual entitlement that would soon erode her self-esteem and leave her questioning her own boundaries. In this video, we're diving deep into how to recognize sexual narcissism, the signs to watch for, the emotional fallout it can cause, and steps you can take if you realize you, or your partner, might be in this toxic dynamic. By the end, you'll see the difference between healthy sexual confidence and a manipulative pattern that revolves around control, entitlement, and a near-total lack of empathy. If you're ready to shine a light on a topic many shy away from, comment here to learn below. Your voice might encourage someone else to confront a situation they're scared to name. So, what exactly is sexual narcissism? In simple terms, it's when someone has an extremely self-centered view of sexual activity. It goes beyond just being confident in one's abilities. We're talking about a person who believes they deserve sex whenever they want, often prioritizes their own pleasure above all else, and shows minimal concern for their partner's comfort or emotional needs. Some of you might recall the rumors surrounding certain celebrity couples in Hollywood. There have been stories about one partner demanding intimacy on their schedule, ignoring or belittling their spouse's preferences. While these stories often make headlines for a while before fading, they highlight a common thread: sexual narcissism can happen to anyone, anywhere, and it's often masked by glamour or status. For Katie, the signs started off subtle. Her partner would jokingly say, "I need to keep my record of daily intimacy," or, "You don't want me to go searching elsewhere, do you?" At first, she laughed it off, feeling it was just playful banter. But soon, the jokes felt more like pressure and less like fun. If you've ever heard a friend talk about a partner who constantly demands sex, sometimes disguising it with humor, comment, alarm bells. It's a way to flag this concern for others. Many people wonder how sexual narcissism differs from the more familiar narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. Here's the short answer: NPD involves a pervasive pattern of grandiosity, need for admiration, and lack of empathy across all areas of life. Sexual narcissism, on the other hand, is hyper-focused on sexual behaviors and attitudes. A person with sexual narcissism might not display narcissistic traits in their career or friendships, but once the bedroom door closes, they exhibit an alarming sense of superiority and entitlement. But it's also true that some individuals with NPD will show sexual narcissism as part of their broader pattern. For instance, they might brag relentlessly about their sexual prowess, expect constant praise, and become angry or sullen if they don't get it. The key point: sexual narcissism may appear without a full-blown personality disorder, yet it can still wreak havoc on a relationship. Katie's partner, for example, seemed pretty normal in social settings. He was polite, joked with friends, and rarely seemed arrogant. But behind closed doors, everything was about his satisfaction, his preferences, and his need to be praised for his incredible performance. Curious if you've encountered a more subtle form of narcissism, someone who's nice in public but overbearing in private? Drop a double life in the comments to let us know. Now, let's get specific. Sexual narcissism can be tricky to pin down if you're not sure what to look for. Let's outline 5 major signs that often pop up in these dynamics. Entitlement. They believe they deserve sex whenever they ask for it. You might be busy, exhausted, or simply not in the mood, they don't care. They'll guilt you or even threaten to cheat or leave if you don't comply. Katie's experience: her partner often said, I have needs, as if that excused all demands. Manipulation or coercion. They'll use emotional blackmail, like, if you really loved me, you'd do this, or, don't make me look elsewhere. Sometimes it escalates into deception or even more aggressive threats. Katie's experience: she started to feel obligated to say yes, fearful that a no would lead to an explosive argument or silent treatment. Lack of emotional intimacy. Everything is about physical gratification, with little regard for emotional connection. They seldom, if ever, ask about your feelings or preferences. Katie's experience: she noticed he rarely made eye contact during or after sex, and dismissively waved off her attempts to introduce emotional closeness. Need for admiration and praise. They want constant validation that they're the best in bed. Any hint of critique can spark outrage or a defensive outburst. Celebrity Q: some star athletes or movie icons have been rumored to brag incessantly about their sexual conquests, demanding endless praise. This pattern can be a giant red flag. Minimal empathy. If you're upset, in pain, or simply not mentally present, they show little understanding. The focus always returns to what they want or how they feel. Katie's experience: she once was ill with a fever, and he still insisted. When she refused, he sulked for days and implied she was being lazy or dramatic. If these signs ring more than a few bells, it's time to look deeper. Sexual narcissism isn't just a bad habit, it's a genuine problem that often ties into larger issues of control and disrespect. Which one of these 5 stands out the most to you? Type sign 1, sign 2, sign 3, sign 4, or sign 5 to share your perspective. It's important to recognize that sexual narcissism can appear on a spectrum. Not everyone who shows mild entitlement is automatically a full-blown sexual abuser, but repeated patterns of manipulation and disregard can quickly escalate. Lower-level behaviors might look like mild selfishness or indifference. Your partner refuses to compromise, always picking the time and place without acknowledging your comfort. More extreme behaviors might involve outright sexual coercion, threats, or emotional blackmail. People often wonder, does sexual narcissism always mean cheating or assault? The short answer is no, not always. However, research suggests a correlation between sexual entitlement and higher risks of infidelity, coercion, and sometimes sexual aggression. It's a slippery slope when someone already believes they have the right to your body on their terms. If you think it's important to talk about these gray areas of sexual entitlement before they escalate, comment prevention below. Raising awareness can save a lot of heartache. Perhaps you're watching this and realizing, wait, sometimes I push my partner without fully considering their feelings. Or you notice you have a habit of demanding affirmation about your performance. Recognizing these traits in yourself can be uncomfortable, but it's also an opportunity to change. Self-reflection: ask yourself if you've been respecting your partner's boundaries. Do you tend to shut down their no, or interpret it as a personal slight? Open dialogue: before intimacy, consider having an honest chat about wants, needs, and anxieties. It might feel awkward at first, but it fosters mutual respect. Consider therapy or coaching. Professionals who specialize in sexual health or relationship counseling can help you unpack where the entitlement or insecurity is coming from, perhaps an unmet emotional need or a fear of rejection. Practice empathy: try focusing on your partner's comfort and pleasure. Ask, how do you feel right now? Is there anything you need from me? This shift from me to us can dramatically change the dynamic. Owning up to these traits doesn't mean labeling yourself as irredeemably toxic. People are capable of growth if they're genuinely committed to it. The first step is awareness. If you believe in growth and accountability, drop a quick "change is possible" in the comments. It's a powerful reminder that we're all on a journey of self-improvement. Now, let's address the situation where your partner might be the one exhibiting sexual narcissism. This is, unfortunately, quite common, and it can be emotionally draining. Here's how you might approach it. Set clear boundaries. Calmly but firmly state what you will and will not accept in your intimate life. For Katie, it meant saying, I understand you have needs, but I also have the right to say no when I'm uncomfortable. If they push back or become hostile, it's a significant red flag. Gauge their willingness to change. Are they open to discussing your feelings without dismissing you? Would they consider counseling or therapy? If they refuse to acknowledge any problem, you may be dealing with deeper issues that can't easily be resolved. Seek professional help, if safe. Couples therapy can be valuable, if your partner is genuinely willing to work on mutual respect. But if you fear for your safety or you're facing emotional abuse, prioritize individual therapy and possibly a safety plan instead. Know when to walk away. In some cases, the best step for your emotional and physical well-being might be ending the relationship. Narcissistic behaviors, especially involving sexual coercion, rarely just go away. Katie, for instance, tried to reason with her partner. She asked him to attend therapy sessions, but he dismissed the idea as nonsense. Whenever she set a boundary, he escalated arguments. Ultimately, she decided to leave. It was painful, but she later described it as the most liberating decision I ever made. If you've ever taken the brave step of leaving a toxic situation or are thinking about it, comment, self-respect. Your story or intention might empower someone else to break free. I want to share a couple more examples, because real-life stories often resonate more deeply than bullet points. Case example number 1, a woman named Emma recounted how her partner frequently insisted on sex during her busiest time of the workday, practically ignoring her urgent deadlines. When she tried to compromise on timing, he accused her of not loving him enough. Eventually, she realized his ongoing disregard for her schedule was a form of control. He never cared about her stress or well-being. Case example number 2, a college student, James, had a partner who constantly bragged, "Everyone says I'm the best they've ever had," and demanded he echo that praise repeatedly. The moment James hesitated or didn't respond with enthusiastic compliments, his partner launched into emotional outbursts, withholding affection until he learned his lesson. Quick Q&A. Question: Isn't it normal to want your partner to satisfy your needs? A. Of course, mutual satisfaction is a healthy goal. Sexual narcissism becomes a problem when one person's needs consistently override the other's comfort and autonomy. Question: Can someone just be overly confident without being a sexual narcissist? A. Absolutely. Confidence by itself isn't harmful. The real issue is entitlement and lack of empathy. Have you ever witnessed or heard a story like Emma's or James's? If so, type "storytime" to let us know. Sharing experiences can help others feel less alone. Sexual narcissism doesn't just create short-term discomfort or tension. It can have long-term consequences for both partners. For the recipient of abuse, they may develop anxiety, low self-esteem, or even symptoms of PTSD due to repeated coercion or emotional manipulation. Intimacy becomes associated with fear, guilt, or obligation, which can negatively impact future relationships. For the sexual narcissist, they might leave a trail of broken relationships and never understand why. In more severe cases, if their actions cross legal boundaries, they could face legal repercussions and social isolation. Relationship erosion. Over time, resentment builds, and emotional intimacy deteriorates. One partner might become codependent or lose their sense of identity, while the other remains trapped in a cycle of controlling behaviors. Katie spent months recovering her sense of self-worth after leaving. She went to therapy, joined a support group, and learned that healthy relationships involve mutual respect and open communication, concepts her ex-partner never truly embraced. If you believe awareness of these long-term effects could save someone from heartbreak, drop a "stay aware" in the comments to show your support. We've journeyed through what sexual narcissism looks like, how it compares to broader narcissism, the 5 major signs, how to respond if you see it in yourself or your partner, and the lingering damage it can create if left unchecked. The main takeaway: sex should be a space of shared enjoyment, respect, and emotional safety. The moment one partner's entitlement and lack of empathy starts overshadowing these essentials, a line has been crossed. Whether you're trying to break free of a toxic dynamic or catching signs early on, remember, help is out there, and you're not alone. Key next steps. Education, keep learning about narcissism and healthy relationships. Knowledge is power. Communication, talk openly with trusted friends, family, or a mental health professional. Boundaries, define and defend them. You have the right to say no or not now. Seek professional guidance. Therapists, counselors, or support groups can offer valuable tools for healing or changing behavior. Katie's story is a testament to how awareness and courage can lead to a new beginning. She's since found a loving, supportive relationship with someone who respects her boundaries, proof that it's possible to break away from harmful patterns and discover genuine intimacy again. If this video helped shed light on sexual narcissism, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell. Comment, "I'm worthy," if you believe in protecting your right to a respectful, loving partnership. And finally, consider sharing this video with a friend who might need to hear these insights. You never know whose life you might be helping to change. Thank you for joining me in this conversation, one that's not always easy, but absolutely necessary. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember, real love respects, honors, and values you.